Good night, everyone. I hope everybody's hearing me good. And welcome to the Futures presentation of our alma mater there. A discussion focusing on the past, the present, and the future of the Naparima Association of Past Students. I am your host for tonight, Yadav Mohip. I am known by other names, but tonight we'll keep it a little normal, right? And I am here on behalf of the team called the Future Naps. The Future Naps is a team of past students of Naparima College who have come together in order to harness and in hopes of bringing new life into the Naparima Association of Past Students. And joining me tonight, I have a very vibrant team of members of the future slate, as you would call it, and also people who have endorsed us and are here to discuss with us the issues that face the college's alumni association, what we want to see happen in the alumni association, and what we have yet to achieve in the alumni association. So joining me now is Joel Simmons, the leader of the future. Good night, Joel.
Good night, everyone. Great to be with you tonight.
So Joel, tell me, what year did you leave Naparima College?
I left NAPS in 2003. Spent 7 years from 96 to 2003.
Right, so you were 2 years ahead of me.
Yeah.
And then we're pulling it back a bit now, and we're going to the time in NAPS when there were girls in NAPS, which is a shocker to many people. And
True,
joining
yeah.
us tonight, we have Dr. Roshni Bisundat. Roshni, if you could unmute your mic. Yeah.
Hi, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Roshni, so many people would be shocked to know that we used to have girls in NAPS at that point.
Yes, of course.
What year did you graduate from NAPS?
I graduated in 1993.
1993.
Yes.
And that would be, I believe, the year I was in Form 1, 1998, was the last year. The last year there were any females in Form 6 in Naparima College. So I'm not too sure what was the reason for that decision, but maybe we might hear from some elder folks. And speaking of elders, we have here with us here what we would like to call a legend of Naparima College, Mr. Dave Gosain. Mr. Gosain, good night.
Good night, Yadav. Good night, the sons and daughters of Naparima College. And I think we started the girls in 1989, and I think we ended 10 years after. I think it's either 99 or 2000, somewhere around there.
Right.
So welcome. Let me say good evening to our viewers, both viewers and listeners on Facebook and YouTube and so on. And the stream is working on YouTube.
Proper. I know you was worried about that, though. I know you was worried about it.
Yes, that's very worried.
Mr. Gosain knows so much tech, but he still does be worried about things rather than. Mr. Gosain is no stranger to any student of Naparima College. He is one of our foremost teachers of physics. You know, he's that torchbearer for the physics. And many people have followed in his footsteps, but have yet to hold that torch like Mr. Gosain. Moving on, we have Mr. Darren Dory, an old boy of the college. Mr. Dory, what year did you leave the college?
Yadav, I never left the college, you know. So if you're asking me what year I graduated from school, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I graduated in 96, yeah.
So the there's a case of the man can graduate, but the college will leave the heart.
They say navel string buried somewhere, and I feel it on that hill.
Yeah, probably by the goalpost.
Possibly.
Up next, we have another old boy, Mr. Riaz Umar Ali, currently stationed in Canada. Riaz, how you doing, sir?
Fantastic. Thank you very much for having me. Good night, everybody.
It's been a long time, and it's great to see you.
Great to see you all as well. Good night, sir.
And yes, it had no change in that, sir, to you.
Yes.
And next up, we have another member of our slate, the team Naps, Future Naps. This is Damian Babulal. Damian, good night, sir.
Hi, good night, everyone. How are you guys going?
Damian, what year you would have leave? You and Joe was in the same year, right?
Yes, Joel was our head prefect of 2003.
Right. Coming up next, we have somebody who was in my year, Mr. Andre Jeffers. And me and Mr. Andre Jeffers, we would have left in what year was it, Jeffers?
2005. Good night, all. A pleasure to be here. I think we're going to have some fascinating conversation, so definitely let's start it.
Yeah, man. And I mean, for those of you who were there in those years, you know, me and Mr. Jeffers were known for our calypso skills and extempo skills. So, Mr. Jeffers, it's good to team up once more and do something for the college.
Absolutely.
And last, but definitely not least, we have a stalwart, right, of the old boys, the Naparima Association of Past Students, and he's also part of our team, the future, Mr. Ramkishore Maharaj. Mr. Ramkishore Maharaj, how are you doing, sir? Unmute there. I think you're muted. I'm not sure.
Oops. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I left NAPS in 1981, so I guess a lot of you all weren't born yet, but happy to be here.
All right, sir, and great. So let me just ask you all. I was from the time where I see the Grand Building. I went in Form 1 in the Grand Building. Imagine I going in NAPS, saying, oh God, boy, new school. And I'm going in the oldest building I ever entered in my whole life, right? And then, before you know it, while I'm there, the building break down. We're in a new building. And this kind of landmark things would have happened. There was 1999 where we won the Intercol treble. But also in that year, we didn't win any scholarships. So that was our memorable year in different ways, from especially under the leadership of Mr. Edison Suku. Darren, tell me what some of the fun memories are your times when you used to be on the hill. Because I wasn't there when you were there. I missed it by a few years.
I mean, let me just, Darren, before you come in there, let me just correct some history, because this is, actually we got 5 skulls in 95, 6 in 96, 7 in 97, 8 in 98, 9 in 99, and 0 in 2000. I think that's
Right,
the year,
right.
2000 is the year we stopped the girls. Because we
we
realized they were probably a little distraction for the boys. Go ahead, Darren. Sorry about that.
And you see, the first term was with the football. So 99 was the intercol, and then the next term is the exams. So the 2000 is when we didn't. So you're very correct, sir. My bad. It's the 99-2000 academic year. So my bad. Darren, let's hear about this 96 graduation time.
And you know, it's interesting. You mentioned the Grand Building, but another structure for which so many, Dev, I know you would be all too familiar with it. So many things happened around this structure, that old tank on the hill. I don't know, it doesn't exist anymore, but so many memories around that old tank. It's definitely a different surrounding. I think it is fitting for the time though, you know, but it's definitely a different surrounding. I distinctly remember, and if I have to just leave with one comment, I distinctly remember the open hill going down where the auditorium used to be, and from my very first year until the year I left, it was like, way boy, when this gym go and build, boy.
I could have cried because the amount I buy a brick and thing I would have do in my time, right? I'm buying brick every year for that gym. When I see it, I cry. Some tears are sadness too that I could never use it. But you know, it's all for the youths at the end of the day, right? It's always for the next generation. We have to think. So let's move on to some things on our agenda for tonight. And first of all, I'd like to call on Mr. Ram Maharaj to talk to us about the Naparima Association of Past Students, because Mr. Ram, he was instrumental in the creation of this new entity, which was founded in which year, Mr. Maharaj, was it founded?
Well, the actual Old Boys Association was founded in 1945, as the crest says. And during my time, we never saw evidence of the Old Boys Association. There was something called a homecoming. Dave, you remember the homecoming was in like the last time? It was like a bazaar, but it was sponsored by the Old Boys, and that was the main event.
The first Saturday of the vacation, the summer vacation.
Okay, yeah. So So that was a chance, in NAPS, you always want to have something on the hill where some other guests would come up on the hill and you'd get to fraternize and so on. So I remember going to my homecoming in must have been 2000. In 1980, and we had I actually won a bottle of scotch in the throwing competition, which was pretty interesting then. At 17 years old, even a bottle of Johnny Walker Black. Well, you're wondering what next, But that was good. But so the old boys used to be there, and I left NAPS in 81, and it was around 1998, 99. A group of our year group, just like your guys, I guess, decided to get back involved. And when we went, we realized that the old boys association needed a little upgrade. So we came in, we went to an AGM, and we voted out the incumbent slate then. And we came in to power in 99. And that's where the revitalized association started. It was pretty rough in the beginning because we had to brainstorm and find events. Revenue for the year used to be like $10,000, and we managed with that. And but we knew we had a vision. Myself, Anil Bridgel was the secretary, DJ Williams was the president at the time, and then we had a lot of people there trying to say, okay, let's get together. The power of NAPS men is great, and we wanted to get everybody back on the hill. Was in 2002, 2003. We had a quarterly meeting in the tri-room, and we had like almost 300 people up there. People were so happy to come up on the hill. There were men from the 50s said since they left NAPS, they never came up. And when we advertised the event, it was nice to network and see the length of generations we have who've attended NAPS. So I was happy to be part of that.
And when was I remember you said Mr. Roy Jacobson was instrumental in
So
that
we went through a couple of presidents, and I was the secretary for about 5 or 6 years, and then with Roy we came together and said, okay, this old boy's name not cutting it, because how can we get people the younger generation? So we brainstormed, and we got NAPS, Naparima College Association of Past Students, and at the time too, I told Roy we must have a sort of team, and we brainstormed again. It was myself, Roy, David, Sammy, the whole executive at the time, and we came up with putting students first, which was meant to be why we exist, our reason for existence, and that became the team of the old boys. We did over the constitution, we made the changes for the name. We also increased the executive from, I believe it was 8 at the time, to 19. Because, sometimes people make a commitment and then it falls short and we have trouble getting a quorum for a meeting. So we just, we said, okay, let's get more fellas on the hill, on the executive. So we increased it then. And our signature events were started then.
Right,
so cook, carnival fete, breakfast.
So we had the NCOBA, Naparima College Old Boys Association, and there was a move to change the name, to get people more involved, to kind of change the brand, if you would say, a bit, and for the reason of inclusivity, right? And we want to hear from the wisdom of the elders, as you would call it. And as I said, no stranger to the panel and to the viewers, we have with us Mr. Gosain. And Mr. Gosain is what we consider one of the 3 legends of Naparima College, along with Mr. Jamat Maraj and Mr. Fayad Ali, who together, they have cumulatively more than 100 years of service to the youth and to the college. And Mr. Gosain, being someone who is, so involved with so much that the college has gone through over the past decades, it would be remiss of me not to ask Mr. Gosain, what is his involvement and why did he choose to involve himself with this team future? Mr. Gosain? I think hold on there, Mr. Gosain. I think you're muted. Right. You're unmuted now. You're good now.
Right. Yeah. Thanks. That was a very interesting question. And when did you schedule this thing to finish? Like about 3 a.m.?
Yeah. All that good.
All right.
I have a hydration here. Don't worry.
Yeah, I walk at mine too,
Right.
just in case. Anyhow, the thing about it is, I would think that the after last year's first attempt, and let me be specific in terms of the chronology. In 2020, an AGM was called. It was supposed to be virtual, and I remember telling my wife Joanne, Mrs. Gosain, I say, girl, if you know, I'm so glad that this thing is virtual. I mean, I would be shocked to see the number of students, NAPS men, who are going to come to this AGM. And I was very excited by it and whatnot. And but what shocked me really was the way in which we had to link to the AGM. Yes, we had to send an email, and then they would send back something for us. And then we had to call to get the username and password. There's a phone number that we had to call and whatnot. So I have actually had two professional Zoom accounts for years, okay, because of the number of different conferences, international conferences that I usually attend. And I was appalled by that methodology. But what was most shocking was the day of the AGM. And on that day of the AGM, all my expectations went flat, totally flat. Because the quorum for the AGM is 25 persons. And we could not even muster 25 students. Now, when that happened, Fayad Ali, Jamaat Maraj, and myself, we are on our own private chat. We have been on that for years, okay? Since, well, of course, once WhatsApp and we are in other media and whatever before. And we got together and, we discussed this whole thing. And this was some of the thoughts of the three of us. In 1995, well, first, Naparima College would get 1 or 2 scholarships, maybe 3 maximum. Prior to 95. 95 is the year I joined. Another say it's my doing. It was a total team effort. We had a chemistry teacher, Mr. Maraj. We had an excellent maths teacher, Mr. Fayad Ali. But not for hell we could have gotten, for decades we never got an A in physics at Cambridge. Now when I came in 85, in 86, we got 5 skulls. 87, we got the President's Gold Medal. And then after that, Naparima College became a scholarship factory. Even the girls wanted to come to Naparima College and whatnot. So the point I'm making here is that the three of us made Naparima College, I'm not saying single-handedly, but we contributed significantly to the attractiveness of Naparima College. Okay? That's way back 30-something years ago, 36 years ago. What is interesting is that over the years, my involvement, my personal involvement, I remember when I joined the staff, the office used to type your exam papers on a typewriter. And I was involved in computers, and the software of the day, the word processing software, and I might remember this, was WordPerfect. Okay? WordPerfect. And I remember, I go in and showing the office staff, you need to get into computers. You need to get, moving the staff forward. Okay? So they could type a document, they could save an exam, and show them how to do all them things. And eventually we bought computers for the office. In 93, we made Naparima College is probably one of the only schools in this hemisphere or this part of the world to make contact with the space shuttle. So we always evolving and aspiring for, excellence and to push the boundaries of what excellence is supposed to be. Okay? And over the years, I've been heavily involved, and Darren too, after he left, and, some of his classmates like Andre Sudin and so on, heavily involved in taking the school forward, taking the school to become a technological giant. In 2015, we converted the whole school to using the smart school concept. And unfortunately, both Michael and I had to, I mean, we reached of age, we had to retire, and COVID hit and stymie a lot of the projects. I mean, I wouldn't want to even mention here what are some of the other things that we had in mind. So when COVID-19 hit in 2020, NAPS was ready, technologically wise, in terms of, G Suite and the whole LMS system and whatever else, right? And then in 2020, we had an AGM. And there was no, excuse me, the thing about it is that the technology was not there at all. And I want to say I'm going to be saying some stuff, and I want to preface what I'm going to say by the fact that I mean no animosity. I mean every single member of both teams are like my sons, okay, except for Ram. Ram was in NAPS in my time, right? And to answer your question, I left in '79. Both Michael and I, we left in 1979, in a previous decade, right, to everybody else. But the fact of the matter is that, being a professional, we have to call a spade sometimes. And what the three, and you say the word legends, when we looked at what was happening to the college at that AGM in 2020, we said, no, something has to change, okay? And then I think it so happened that a few of you all contacted us as well. So while we were having our discussion that something is not right about what we are seeing technologically wise, the school has regressed technologically, okay? And I want to say something. Like I said, I'm apologizing if I offend anyone. But the sad part of the whole thing is that as NAPS men, there were people who were involved in promoting the college, failed miserably, and could not get a quorum for an AGM. And now some of those same people are going up on a slate. And that is, to me, something that, we should tell them, listen, people, you had your time, you didn't do too well, so maybe you should step aside and let somebody else do it, okay? So those are some of the points that I'd like to raise right now, Yada. Back to you.
Okay, so thanks for those sentiments, and it's very much understandable because we are in a time now where the world has been pushed towards a new normal, and it begs the question, the reason for this new normal not being adopted by the association. But we need to talk about this association a little more for people who may not really be aware of the association, because they're hearing all these things, but what really is the Naparima Association of Past Students? So I will ask Ms. Roshni Bisundat. Roshni, you were on the executive already, and let me correct myself too. It's not just Ms. It's Dr. Roshni Bisundat. Let me correct myself. Doctor, when you are on the executive, is it that the association is an executive? Who exactly makes up this association?
Okay, so as my colleagues have said, NAPS stands for Naparima College Association of Past Students versus the previous, which is the NAPS Old Boys Association. So now it includes everybody. Mm-hmm. And what I realized is a lot of people didn't know that anyone who has graduated from Naparima College is a member of the alumni. So presently, anybody who has graduated in 2021 to prior is a member of the alumni. And one thing to know is this is a free membership. Mm-hmm. So, anyone can join. And what we would like to encourage is everyone to join, no matter how old, how young, how near, how far, because NAPS has grown globally. It has produced men and women in all diverse variety of fields, professions. And therefore, I think our objective is to bring everyone together, especially with the technology that's out there now. And then we can link our brothers and sisters to meet the demanding challenges that may face us in the future. And I've actually honestly had many members come to me in the past saying, I want to help, but I don't know how I can help. And that's what we need to let everyone know, is that once you are a graduate, you are a member of the alumni and you can help in any way you can. Versus which the purpose of the executive is just to bring together the wealth of these ideas and from the greater alumni. Yes, we're there to execute fundraising, to help with mentorship programs. We support students financially. We also assist in the sporting programs. But the end of it all is that every single graduate is a member of the alumni, and what our whole purpose is to bring everyone together and work for the purpose of bringing students first.
I hear you loud and clear, Dr. Bisundat. So, a lot of people, when they heard about the upcoming AGM and election, they would say, well, I'm not a paying member. And I have to let them know that, no, well, that payment system has stopped a while now. But again, the communication of these things seems to be lacking. Now, calling on another past exec, Mr. Dore. Mr. Dore, what would you say was the level of participation and engagement for the alumni in the years when you served as an executive? When you look at the engagement in terms of the numbers that we could really capture, and then you're hearing this thing about we can't meet quorums on more than one occasion.
Yadav, membership has always been an issue. And I distinctly remember, at almost every AGM, whether it had been in the auditorium or otherwise, Mr. Gosain complaining about how we've handled the membership and, how we can digitize that, and so on. And, it stuck at a point, and we decided to, as you said, make it electronic and try to gain more membership and so on. When I left the executive, I would think that we were on our way to actually building on those numbers, right? And not just I like to consider the association not just for Naparima College and its alumni. We've done a lot for the community of Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, we've had some unfortunate events in Trinidad and Tobago, and we had actually reached a point where the community, right, would have entrusted us and Naparima College by extension and NAPSAC, because at that time we were really, hand in hand, to take in our possession items to donate to those in need, whatever the disaster was. We even went as far as actually arranging barges of the islands to, for relief of natural disasters. So we were known at the last series of Carnival Fetes, where we, maxed out the capacity of the bowl. There were buses coming in from Port of Spain to support Naparima College and enjoy themselves. We would have reached that point, right? We were getting known, we were more than a household name. And it was NAPS, NAPS. It wasn't Party in Paradise. And there was a reason why we opted to change that name, because of data and statistics. It's not because we didn't like the name. This is what people tell us. You look at Lime Carnival event, and they will put NAPSFET and in brackets Party in Paradise, So you have to understand the way in which we do things. We take data. I would have actually conducted surveys after Carnival Fete. That might have not been a best idea, because after our Carnival Fete, men going home real happy, right? But the thing is, we were able to find out what people liked, what they wanted, and we engaged the community. And I'm using the word community because we are a community for the NAPS alumni and folks at large. And look here, Prestige bigger than Napster, but that is not the issue, right? We would have had a lot of guys from our brother school, Presentation College, coming to our event and vice versa, right? And it has always been, a nice sort of camaraderie between the colleges, and I hope it continues in that regard. We were moving towards bettering everything that we did. So from a membership perspective, yeah, there is need. There is need for us to step up that game. Maybe later on we can talk about what I left when I was asked to leave, in terms of the technology and what we could have had over the COVID period, but I'll give some other folks the opportunity to chime in now.
Well, let me talk to a younger student, a younger old boy, if you want to call him that. I mean, he's a big man now, but Mr. Jeffers, you know, coming from our generation and our era, we know for a fact that a lot of our era, we aren't involved and haven't been involved in the alumni, association, in the alumni association, in Naparima Association of Past Students. Why do you think that is?
Well, difficult to speak on behalf of everyone. But Yadav, I think our time period was a very interesting one. When I left NAPS and went across to Howard, Facebook was just taking over the US college circuit. It hadn't come to Trinidad yet. This would have been 2005-06. And, over the course of my matriculation there, by the time I left Howard, Facebook was the thing, even in Trinidad, everywhere. And, since that time, what you have found is that communities have formed naturally on social media and via the use of technology. And usually the organizations that have presence there or use those channels well tend to be able to capture a base that is going to be participative. And I feel as though, although I can't speak for everyone, the level of communication or outreach or visibility of NAPS, the Alumni Association, in terms of outreach to build membership, it never felt up to the time. It never felt like an active sort of membership drive. And look, you're talking about alum who get busy with their careers and so on, and they may want to go back on the hill or go and watch a football game or patronize an event. But in terms of being a part of an active alumni base, in my opinion, I just felt that level of connectivity, that conduit to build a membership base, was not there, and to an extent still isn't there, to the degree that it could be with all of the new advents of technology and social media. So I think outreach is one of the big ones. It almost felt a bit like I don't want to say secret society, but the men in the Alumni Association with the men in the Alumni Association, and that's what you knew, and there wasn't necessarily a lot of kind of visibility around the processes and when the elections happen, etc. So I think as one thing, as we look to the future, I think it will be extremely important for there to be an outreach committee focused on membership engagement, and events, not necessarily always just for fundraising, but because we know the school is important, but sometimes events just to engage that alumni body that feels a part of this organization, to pull from the wealth of knowledge across a much wider base than we have previously.
Well said, Andre. And when we talk about, alumni who have gone on to do different things and trying to reconnect, we have a past student here who, as I said earlier, is living in Canada. So, Riaz, tell us, are you part of any Naparima chapter in Canada? And if so, how does it operate?
Yes, so the Naparima Alumni Association of Canada is very active. They have a lot of events that go on. So throughout my life, I have moved back and forth from Canada to Trinidad, Canada to Trinidad. And so they've known me since I was a teenager, right after I left NAPS in 2000. I've been volunteering for events. I have family members that were high up on the exec up here. And but there has never been a place where there was open communication between the executive in Trinidad and the executive here. However, on a yearly basis, there are different events that happen. They have a steel band program where they teach steel band music and that sort of thing. They have a dinner and dance. They used to have weekly bingo events. So all of these were things that were done to raise money. And then they have a system in place whereby they are able to help students once they are asked to, or whatever the case is, based on the investments and the dividends that come out of those investments that is up here. So I am an active member of the association up here, and they are still very active. Obviously, we've been limited because of COVID. So that's
Right.
basically what's happening up here.
Well, and funny enough, I never knew that there was such a vibrant alumni chapter in Canada. And from the looks of things, you all are very, very vibrant. But have you all ever been reached? Do you know of any outreach from NAPS in Trinidad, the Naparima Association of Past Students in Trinidad, to the chapter in Canada to collaborate on anything, or you all ever have any kind of virtual meetup or anything like that, or any kind of thing like that? Is it that the chapter there is independent of it, or yeah?
So in terms of the events that the chapter up here throws, there's nothing really that the association in Trinidad could have collaborated on, because it's two different countries it's being thrown in. However, of when there's fundraising that happens and where are the places that can be helped, that's what I know has never taken place. So I did have the privilege of speaking to a couple of alumni members prior to this meeting to find this out. And so basically the way the communication goes is the association up here pledges to do something by the end of the year, and then that would go to the schools in Trinidad. So it would not only go to Naparima boys, it would go to Hillview, to Irie, to Naparima girls in terms of help. And that is basically the extent of communication. So there is a lot of room for improvement in terms of collaboration and in terms of forming new channels to help students that are going to be studying abroad, like how Jeffers, went to Howard. I studied abroad, that sort of thing. And for certain parameters to be met, that these students could be helped, especially since Trinidad has, this entire Forex issue and that sort of thing. There's so much room for improvement for all of these chapters to come together globally.
Definitely. Let me ask you this. How do you feel about the fact that we are having the elections in a few days and you can't take part?
That's quite a loaded question. So I actually spoke to a couple of Naparima old boys up here, and we weren't concerned as much about how we felt as about what it meant, right? So the fact that a decision was made after registration, especially after I'm calling people and reaching out and like, hey, you could register for this online. We're now a part of something. We're a part of our alma mater, and we're connecting on that level. Some of the rhetoric in those conversations was, this, if such a decision could be made without any sort of consultation, and it's autocratic in nature, this can give rise to what we could expect in terms of future governance for whoever it was, or the team of people, or whoever made such a decision. And so that's what we Um, and I'm speaking for the couple of guys that I spoke to here. That's what we were concerned about with regard to that. Now, when you live abroad, you connect with people on different layers. Sometimes you go to a restaurant and you hear somebody ordering food and they have a Trinidadian accent. Hey boy, what part of Trinidad you from? I from so so so. So when you get to the layer where you have gone to the same school, that is a different kind of connection, especially when you're trying to get back to home. And so being able to vote online and be a part of something is, that's a layer of connection that you don't get, and it's something that the Naparima events and the Naparima Association of Canada look forward to, because the conversations you have is tailored towards your experience when you went to the school. So obviously, I am still optimistic. My partners up here are still optimistic, and we think that the right decision is going to be made, and that come voting day, we are going to be able to vote. We're also looking at the positives that came out of this, is that it piqued a lot of people's interests worldwide, and by such a decision being made, it was a blessing in disguise, because it has now piqued a lot more people's interests. And obviously, a lot more people are tuned in to this specific election. So that was a real positive note for us.
I hear you loud and clear there, Riaz. Now, I want to bring it to Joe now. Mr. Simmons, you were involved in the previous executive before?
No, no, I was just an onlooker in terms of what has been happening.
Right. So you have gone to AGMs before and so on.
Correct, yeah.
All right, good. Now, what do you know about this current executive and what they have achieved as an executive? What were they able to achieve in terms of their own work, their giving back, and all of this, the things that they would have done?
Well, the current executive, well, I can speak specifically for the past 2 years. I know they have been doing a good bit of groundwork and continued some of the events that have been taking place. We have our customary breakfast on the hill and napsmen who can cook. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we didn't have the fete this year, but we had it last year. So, those events were very well attended, and kudos to the current executive for maintaining that vibrancy even during this time. Those events were very well attended, and I know a lot of people wanted to give back in a different way. I know one of the main things that they have been doing as well is a consistent hamper drive for many of the less fortunate students of Naparima College. That is something that I tip my hat to them. It's very commendable, and it's something that it wasn't a one-off. They will just continue doing it month on month. And coming out of that, they gave devices to even students who were in need because of the online learning, and also even help students who may have connectivity issues at home. So, I mean, they did a lot in those regards. And even for the school itself, some of the donations by the alumni were channeled through the association. And, they were able to assist with the refurbishment and the upkeep of the chemistry lab and different parts of the school. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I know they have accomplished a good bit of things during their tenure.
Right. And it is always important to note the amount of effort that goes into giving back to the students and the past students, when they face hardships and they may need that help. And then the general school population and what is given to them. Now, when we look at this, we cannot say anything to take away from that. That is what it is. That is good work. But there's a sense that there are some underlying issues that would need to be addressed when it comes to the association. The association does fulfill certain aspects of their roles, But what can you say, and maybe I could ask Joe to continue, and maybe we'll hear from other members after. What can you say that you think is lacking and needs to be addressed? What issues are facing the organization at this point in time?
Well, in terms of, I think open lines of communication, because when you don't communicate to your association, it can lend to the impression that things are not as transparent as they may seem. So there are a lot of things that can be done better in terms of maintaining a certain line of communication. Um, I know as well, during the last AGM, we had a lot of questions that were asked, and some of them were kind of sidestepped, and the persons that we wanted to answer the questions, they weren't there, the answers weren't that forthcoming. And, as I said, it gives the impression as if, you're not really given the full 100% truth to the actual association, and those persons are asking the questions. So I believe that once we encourage and maintain that level of communication, so that we have that transparency, things are being done throughout the year, so that everyone can know exactly what is happening, who is representing them. If I vote somebody in this year, I would expect that I will see them at the next AGM. And if that doesn't happen, at least some form of notice should be done or should be given to the actual alumni, so that we know exactly what is going on. Just little examples of those can help to be a little more refreshing to the alumni, and it will build that sense of trust within everyone.
Thanks, Joe. Now the floor is open for anyone else who, has been privy to any kind of issues that they have been seeing facing the organization and the association over the past few years.
Yeah, guys, I could probably chime in here. So I would have actually, resigned as a trustee, in 2020. Not something you would have generally heard of, right? A trustee having to resign. If you understand the role of the trustee is that to guide and provide, experience based on past interactions. And for those listening on, last year would have probably made it 20 years since I would have been serving in the association. So, I mean, I think it's safe to say that I have a fair understanding of how things should run. And here's the thing, we really went, things really went sour with accepting advice. And I think that was one of the things that, we even experienced with respect to the recommendations for online voting. I think the guys there, as Joe says, they are fantastic at what they do. But I think to take it to that next level, to have that level of digital transformation, it seems as if they're lacking in that regard, right? If you visit the NAPS Association website, and this is something I haven't shared with much individuals, it's napsassociation.org. And you just go to /shop, you'll actually see a full e-commerce shop there. And that was something that was supposed to actually been launched, while I was there. So there are things that was handed over to be launched, particularly in the last couple of years, where everyone was online and they were looking to interact. Just imagine you could have actually purchased memorabilia, realize you could have get your NAPS gear, right? And have it shipped to you. So I genuinely don't think that we have the expertise in that current permutation of an executive, and I think that's definitely something that is needed to take the Naparima College Association as well as the college, because they work hand in hand, into the next couple of years. So I just wanted to add that in. I'll probably go into the Facebook chat and type out the link for those to actually see what it is, could have been done.
Thank you very much, Darren. The floor is open.
Okay, I'll go now. Good night again, everyone.
Good night, Damian.
Yeah, I hope you all hearing me loud and clear. So I would just like to go back to last year's AGM that Mr. Gosain spoke about earlier. I felt very similar when it was so difficult to be able to log on to a simple process. And, I would have tried to share the link and stuff, and the link wasn't even shareable, right? People had to call the the office to basically get a link, right? Um, and when I saw we couldn't have 25 people in this um, in the AGM, and that caused it to be postponed to October, where we had about 70%. It really sparked something in me personally, and that's where I would say the future team um, started. And those of you who were at that AGM in October last year would have remembered me speaking in the end, speaking about inclusivity, right? And that has always been my main issue with the association. Reaching out to a lot of guys over the past couple of months and weeks to get involved in the election and also be part of the association. A lot of questions came up as to, I didn't even know it was free. Just like Roshni said, it's free to join, and there's definitely a disconnect between the association and the general alumni, right? So I suggested, let us form some marketing teams, membership teams, and the associations agreed. And, they said they would contact me, to help them build this and expand the association. And I'm still waiting on the call. So my main thing has always been inclusivity. We spoke about the use of social media. I think alumni who has, Mr. Gosain could calculate the maths for me quick here, kind of late. So, in terms of how many students would have graduated from the 50s, from all the way up to now, how many students we have, and how many of us are active on social media. And Darren brought up a great point just now. Forget the e-commerce side. Go to the actual website and see the kind of info it's there. It's outdated from since 2018. Why we as an association cannot have an updated website in this day and age? Simple, easy fix. So to me, it all comes back to the membership drive, which we haven't done probably for the past 4 to 5 years in a proper way. And it ties back into the inclusivity and the help of the social media and all the technologies that we have existing now. So, that has been my main issue, and I want to make it clear that, whoever wins on Saturday, we have come too far in this to be where we are right now, and we definitely need a fix to that. And that's my main issues.
I'd just like to chime in here, if you'd permit. And just to take off from where Damien had started with there. As Damien rightly said, I think the genesis of this future was, I hate to be, making me feel like a teacher here, man. I'll be correcting all the time with all the wrong data. But anyhow, Damien, the meeting in September is when the thing happened. The second meeting was in October, But I think at the meeting in September, that churned everybody's stomach, And, I would like to put a little spin on some of the things as well, going forward, in that a lot of people, they're saying that, these young people, who are they? Where they come from? Most of the guys here, not most, every single person here are top professionals. Some are, even at Naparima College, they were school top student and head prefect and all that sort of stuff, right? Scholarship winners and all that sort of stuff. But what I want to point out, really, one of the other hats that I wear is a Rotarian. Okay, I've been The only thing that I have not yet done in the Rotary Club is be the district governor. But every other office I've held. Okay? And it's not for not being voted in district governor, it's just that I'm not just ready for it yet. Because countries throughout the Caribbean asking me to be that. But anyhow, it's not about me, it's about this organization. One of the things we say in Rotary, and I'll give you a little video that I saw recently. And it really churned my stomach. I saw a recipient of a hamper exposing the fact that the NAPS, gave them the hamper and whatnot. But what I also noticed is the location. It apparently was something set up in the new building that the NAPS had built. And I looked at it and I showed it to Mrs. Gosain because I'll tell you something. Naparima College has been given hampers for decades. And like in Rotary, when you have that heart to donate, it is commendable. It is godly. It is an act of God. Okay? But the minute you take out your cell phone to photograph it, it now becomes publicity. It now becomes PR. It is no longer to serve. It is to serve thyself now. And over the years, we have always, in Naparima College, we have people like Dave Singh, Emmanuel Singh, no brothers, no relation. You have Ramzan, you have these teachers going out to the homes in very distant, and some cases, one case they actually got flooded out. Some teachers actually got flooded out in delivering these hampers to these people in the home. And the only thing you would get from these people is some tears, a smile, and a shake hand. And that is all we need. I think we have to understand as an organization, when you are giving, when you are helping people, we have to preserve the dignity of the recipients. Doing otherwise for self-aggrandizement, I think, is defeating the purpose of your generosity, And I think this is what moved. And I want to make the reason why I started off with this point is because I started off by saying that people don't know, the future and whatnot. And I can tell you that I speak unequivocally for Fayed Ali, Jamont Maraj, and Dev Gosain, because we have thrown our support behind this team. Because what we have seen, the crowd out there, even the president executive, didn't even realize that this team started helping in Naparima College long time, since last year, I should say. All the hand sanitizers that you see in the college right now is thanks to this team. Very quietly, without fame and glory, and I call fame and glory people fags, okay? Without any fame or glory, they have donated these hands, they have donated computers to children, and sometimes it's out of their own pocket. They have actually done these things, and it is extremely commendable. I have seen, I'm not too sure, and Darren and Ram and even Roshni would have heard me comment at previous AGMs and asking, that the AGM now is a stepping stone of being on the NAPS executive to get your son in NAPS. Okay? And some people actually come to me and tell me that, imagine, I serve on the executive for 2-3 years and I feel I still have to beg to get my son in NAPS. Hello? When my son was writing commandant or SEO, commandant, I can't remember where you write, back in 2002, I had to beg after teaching in the college from 85 to 2002. So who is you? Okay? And if that is your objective to join the executive, to get your son in NAPS, And you can tell who they are because they have a stint for 2 or 3 years. And after that, they evaporate. Okay? So we have to be, what I've seen over the last year is a team of cohesion. It is not like the Trinidad and Tobago football team. When Dwight York, we had to bring him in from the UK to about a month before to practice with the team a little bit, for him to understand the team. And everybody wanted to give Dwight York the ball so he could score a goal. Okay? That is why actually in Naparima College, we stopped bringing in footballers in Form 5 and Form 6. We bring them in Form 2 and Form 3. So they learn to be NAPS men. You see this future team? They gelled as true NAPS men and women over the years. Last year, I should say. Because they have been working cohesively together. Okay? It is not like a pick-me-up side. I see somebody post some nonsense on Facebook that they should take some from this team and some from the other team. I mean, obviously, that person was talking about people who he knows. Fortunate for me, I know everybody. Okay? And while there may be some merit in that conversation, the fact of the matter is that I would always go for a team that played together for some time. Okay? They understand each other and they know exactly what they're about. Thank you.
And that's a good point, Sir. I think you hear a lot of chatter around who is this future team, where they come out from, they never do anything for the school. And I don't think we ever got a chance to really tell the story that we have been planning, along with helping the school, as Sir would have mentioned, we would have been planning for the last year with weekly, bi-weekly meetings, set up subcommittees within our team, speaking to what's being done well currently, what we think we can go in there and revamp, what needs to fix. We have been planning. This has been taking up significant hours of our time for the last year in the background, just waiting until such time that we're able to present who we are and our ideas. And so the notion that, we just kind of came together and looking for a blind it couldn't be further from the truth. Every member of the slate, way back when Fram and the legends and Joe were calling on us, we sat in a circle and there was something put out there to us that says, if you are not committed, you don't feel you will have the time commitment, say now. Because two things. One, we are going to invest our heart and soul in this. And two, we're not here for a 2-year ride. This is a medium to long-term project where we want to inject new life. We want to build on the solid foundation that's there, because you can't take away from what the executive has done well. But we want to build on that. We think we have the energy, the vibrancy, the experience to build on that. And more than that, we think we have what it takes to pull thousands of alumni who are currently not involved in the school, to pull and lean on their resources, their expertise, which is what makes the community better and therefore makes the school experience and the student experience better. So just wanted to clear up that notion around where we come from and we never done anything. We have been assiduously planning for this and already have quite a lot of structure and quite a lot of ideas and a full calendar of things that we think the alumni of the school should feel very excited about.
Andre, don't forget the virtual reunions.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're right. Virtual reunions. I mean, it's we have an events committee that's been meeting for the last 6 months and literally are filling out the calendar with a combination of virtual events, physical events for when that time comes, events geared toward fundraising, which we know is extremely important, events geared towards alumni, network building or rebuilding or rekindling, professional mixer events in North and South to be able to, events, mentorship events for young alumni and students and older alumni in respective fields, events for the more academically inclined, events for the more socially inclined, inclusivity and and a diversity of events that serve to not only raise funds for the school, but engage a much wider base of local and foreign alumni toward the end of a better and a stronger and more vibrant Naparima College.
So if I could just jump in here as well. The formation of the future team, and I want to stress on team because a lot of people calling us a slate and labeling us in a way as if we are antagonistic or coming to take over. I've heard so many phrases about us. We are Johnny come latelys. We only want positions. What have they done for the school? And me specifically, I have remained silent because I didn't want to add to what is being said out there. Every person here representing the future team is a NAPS man, a NAPS woman to heart. And what we have built here over the past couple of months to a year, it's something genuine and it's not a Johnny come lately. We love the school and the passion behind this movement is second to none. And we just want to continue that together with whoever is in power, whoever even opposing us just for the election. We don't see it as we just come in to take over and it's just us 19 doing what we want. But it's a togetherness, a cohesion and inclusivity that we are trying to brand so that the actual alumni can feel refreshed. Anyone who is a past NAP student can look and say, you know what, this is the team that represents me and represents me well and knows exactly what I need as a past student. All questions can be answered, and the most important point is that the students of the school comes first regardless. There's nothing that we are doing, nothing that is being planned that does not have the students' focus. And that is the genesis and that is the evolution of what this future team represents. And all we want to do is to leave an indelible mark on Naparima College. We want to be the leading past students association in the country. And at the end of the day, with a revitalized student body and whatever fundraisers that we do, everything is putting the students first and including as many persons as possible to be part of that drive and to be part of that mission moving forward.
Beautifully said, Joe. Beautifully said. Mr. Maraj, you wanted to talk a little bit about something there. I see you itching. I think the mute is on. And just to let you all know, viewers, we want to entertain some questions in the coming minutes because we are looking to round up, in not right now, but in a little while. And you all can get your questions ready so that's how you can address them to members of the panel and we can answer as well as possible. So yes, Mr. Maraj.
Yeah, basically, again, I was there from the inception of this new team, and talking to legends like Roy Jarvising and so on. I told him, when you consider the average NAPS person would have done pretty okay, and donations back to the school, money is not a problem, but transparency and accountability with what you do with the money is a problem. And we're approaching we went from having AGMs with barely 25 people. Now we have a couple hundred well registered to vote for this election. And just do simple maths. If there's 1,000 NAPSmen giving $1,000, that's $1 million we have. We don't have to go around selling tickets for any event. We can have $1 million every year for budgeting for helping students easily once we have full transparency and accountability. And that's it. When I spoke to the Constitution, we reformed it. And there were questions asked about, okay, how do we guarantee that no one abuses the power of the executive? And I said, no, we are NAPSmen. We sing a college hymn every single day on parade. We live by it. So there should never be an issue of a NAPSman not doing the right thing. Now it seems that we have to go back and revisit the Constitution to put in stopgaps to make sure that people do the right thing. You know, I've given so much to the school, I cannot vote on Sunday. I'm out of the country on work matters. Someone like me who's done so much, I cannot vote. So we have to fix that. We definitely have to fix that. All right, thanks.
Yeah, one more thing while we're on that point of I think Riyadh spoke about it, and Ram just mentioned it there. That ties back to my point, the inclusivity point, right? You set the rules, the association set the rules, and you said that we're gonna have virtual elections, and you're excited. The international alumni, even the guys who are abroad working offshore, and now they can't. And we want to plead one last time to the executive, if any of them are listening. The Zoom platform that we have registered, it's an easy transition to do a poll and allow all our members to vote. So that's my last plea to the executive, the current executive, to really include everyone. Let everyone have a chance to let their voices be heard.
And in addition to that, it's embrace the technology, embrace the change, embrace unfortunately, what COVID has done. We have to be a leading association, an innovative association that takes the forefront and not be reactive. And that is the general consensus. We are just being reactive. While we are seeing other associations, other groups being forward thinkers, the impression from the base is that we are just very reactive and non-communicative. And we making a plea, an open plea that, there are members of this team, there are members of the actual alumni that are willing to help, whether financially, whether through their intellect, to assist in the technology part of the AGM. So whatever is needed, you can count on your alumni to assist. But it is from this point on, we have to look to move forward and be very innovative with everything that we do to help the students' population.
Now let me ask a question, since we have no questions coming in the comments right now. We know that, well, for those of you who may not know, on this Sunday coming, October 3rd, there's the AGM, which is happening virtually, and there is the elections, which is happening physically on the Hill. What I would ask, for the benefit of all the voters who may be looking on, who may not know, what can they expect on Sunday in terms of the process? Where do they have to go? What is really going to take place, just generally? Because, people are hearing that there's physical voting and that, there should be some kind of protocols or whatever. What can they expect? Because I don't think that has been communicated by the current exec in any formal way.
Yeah, so obviously I will want to leave it to the executive to properly explain what will happen, but obviously proper COVID-19 protocols and regulations will take place. We got the assurance that they have gotten clearance by the Ministry of Health to have it. Obviously, it'll be a single flow, one in, one out. Everybody will have enough space around them to vote and it should be a very quick process. We are hoping there's a 5-hour window of voting between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. So we are asking everybody to have that same passion and motivation to come out, but still we will do it in a respectful way on the Hill, so that we won't break any rules or any regulations on the day itself. But it should be a very smooth, flowing process. I don't envision it to be a very difficult, and it's just for guys to come up, guys and girls to come up and vote and let your voice be heard on Sunday.
Joe, I have a question to you, and obviously it will benefit the membership. We would have seen some posts removed from the association over the past couple of days and weeks, and we still are not sure who is presiding over the election in terms of seeing about it. Could you clarify who will be presiding over the election?
Right, yes. So an independent team has been chosen of members of the NAPS fraternity, the teachers and staff. They will be the ones that will be overseeing the entire process. And also there will be observers from both sides just to ensure that there's total transparency on the actual day and that we don't run into problems. Again, I assume, not assume, I expect the current executive to lay out all the rules and regulations and what will be happening on the day. So I don't want to preempt anything or say anything out of turn or out of context, but I know for sure that we will have an independent presiding team consisting of members of staff, both teachers and past trustees, past members of the executive, and also members of the actual Naparima staff that will assist on the day itself.
Okay, thank you very much for that information, Joe. Now I have a question here from Ryan Ramnath, and I'll have to put it back here because it's a very long one. So let me get it on the side. Excellent discussion by the panel. This one is for Dev. I heard you mentioned in the beginning that NAPS was always at the forefront with technology, with things such as communicating with a satellite. But in recent times, there are things that have come close to this accomplishment. Is there one accomplishment in the next 2 years that you would like to see happen, and what will it be?
All right, thanks very much. And Ryan, it was not a satellite, it was the space shuttle. So there was astronauts on board. It was Space Shuttle Columbia STS-58. All right. Yes, Ryan, and thank you very much. I know Ryan is very good in technology as well. So let me first, I'd like to draft him in. For one of the biggest things I'd like to see, I would hope in the next 2 years, we could have an AGM with at least a minimum of 10,000 NAPS men. Okay? That is the first thing that I would like to see. The technology be such that the NAPS men feel as though NAPS is home and they come to it. But you and I need to get together to discuss some of the other bigger projects that I have in mind. So I'll leave it there for the time being. My number may change. You know how to contact me. And thanks for the question, buddy.
I just have a little question. I don't want to put Dr. Roshni on the spot, but what is your feel about the executive or the association in terms of inclusivity for female ladies who have attended the college? I think you're on mute.
Yeah, Rosh.
You're asking about the future or the present inclusive?
Well, a mixture of both in terms of what your experience has been in the past, and obviously what is your expectation moving forward.
Okay, so so I was on one of the previous executives, and obviously they're trying to include everybody, and they would like the female perspective. However, when it was changed, I felt as though we were left out. We are actually trying to get a lot more of the other females to get on board. And as you know, Ada is also on the team. So this team for sure, our future is bringing more of the females on board, and quite a few of them have registered as well for voting on Sunday.
And then we have a question that came up here about if people need to bring ID, and our member Valmiki volunteered the information. He said that yes, you need to work with ID that you have used in the registration process to vote. So when you registered, all voters registered using an ID of their choice, whether it be their ID number, their DP, and so on. And that number would have been used in the Zoom registration. You want to present that same form of ID. So please work with it, because that is a rule for the process. That is a rule. There's another question here. When voting, how do you identify you are voting for the future team? Is it by symbol or name? Is voting for by slate or individual positions? Wonderful question, and we really need to address this for voters.
Okay, so sorry to preempt you there, Yadav. I would just go and say that remember the election on the day, it is not one slate versus the other slate. All right, even though it may have been presented that way, it is members of our team filling certain positions, and there are members of the other team filling those positions. So when you go on that day, you'll be voting for president, 2%. First vice president, 2%. Second, and it will go down the line like that. So what we are encouraging you to do is to get familiar with all the members of our team who share our vision and passion. Get familiar with everybody who is on the panel here. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, so that you can know, you can put a face to the name, and so that you can kind of get a background of everybody, so that when you are there on the day, you can recognize the names and recognize the different positions and vote for us accordingly. But no, on the day itself, there won't be Joel Simmons' future or anything like that. It will just have everyone's name and the position that they're vying for.
So you are voting for people in positions. So each position,
Right.
you pick someone, regardless of what preconceived slate they may belong to, right? Um, Now there's a question here that uh, is about, you guys mentioned that over the last year you have been working in the background and intend to set up committees. What are the committees you hope to set up? And we have some already
Yeah,
formed, so let's talk about that and what is to come.
yeah, I could chime in there. Yeah, no. I also saw Bonnie asked, how do we plan to engage with the expat diaspora? So one of our subcommittees that we plan to also have, or as an extension of our team, is foreign chapters. So we would definitely want to engage, Riaz and his team in Canada. We know there's a vibrant team in New York, which you are part of, Blondie, and wherever we have a group of alumni, we want to have foreign chapters all over. So that's one. Roshni just spoke. We definitely have. We will be having a woman's arm. So Roshni and Ada, who's part of our team, will be chairing that team and really getting girls who and ladies who would have passed through the college over the years to really bring that input to the team, right? We spoke about constitutional reform needs to be happen. So we plan on having a legal team. Mr. Ken Samlal, he is the lawyer on our team, and he will be heading that committee. Jeffers spoke about the events. We'll have an events team as well. We also plan on having a Legends Club that, Mr. Gosain, Mr. Jamond, and Mr. Fayed Ali, they will be the Hall of Famers, so to speak, in that club, and definitely bringing all the legends that we would have out there and continue to bring from the college, right? What else? PR. So, I spoke about it before. A public relations committee setting up marketing and really reaching out to the students in the technology that we have right now. We also plan on tying that into a lot of the things that are going on in the college, even with the school, the sports, really getting that out there to the alumni, Um, what else am I missing there, guys?
Well, I think Mr. Maraj will speak about what is there to his heart, that social outreach committee.
Correct.
Yeah, just let me go back in history. I was always on the executive since '99, and social outreach has always been my passion. Helping students, and we can all think about our days in NAPS, and you would always have a quiet fellow. You would always have you always have a quiet person in your classroom who, when everybody go down to the cafeteria, they stay behind, or they go and drink water, or they don't come to school with the best gear. And this, I'm talking about from my time in the 80s. And would you believe 40 years later, we still have students coming from very, very, very poor backgrounds in the NAPS? And that's been my passion for 20 years. And
I operate as a lone wolf for a long time because I never wanted to be part of the incumbents or the executive. Roshi knows I operate on my own quite a bit. But I saw the future giving me a chance to come back in and let's structure how we help these students, because they come from very humble homes. They come from schools in the back of nowhere, behind Maruga, Penal, all over. But the teachers put NAPS as their first choice because the teachers know they are gifted. And they said they think that, okay, just get them into NAPS and NAPS will take care of them. And we have dropped the ball quite a bit, So that's my passion and that's what I'm here for. And I'm looking forward to everybody helping. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maraj.
You'll get Ram emotional there.
Yeah, well, I always know that
That's the passion.
that is Ram's passion there. You know that, right? Or outreach. He said he's here for the students who are underprivileged, and that is the role of the alumni. And he said while people might be beaten up about all kind of different things, that some work needs to be done, and it hasn't been done in that regard. Now do we have any more questions? There we have Mr. Hassan Ali. What is your proposal for the increased transparency within the organization, use of donated funds, etc., and similar concerns that were raised by long-standing alumni?
So I will just chime in here. One of the committees that we also didn't mention, we have a finance committee as well that will be strengthening the treasurer's position. So what we are actually doing is to ensuring that every cent that comes into the association, whether it's a dollar figure or is in kind, that is recorded, that is shown via receipt, and the person giving that donation will know exactly where this is going and what it represents. And for example, we will have a more frequent turnover in terms of showing our management accounts. So whether it's quarterly or biannually, an alumni can easily access how these funds have been expended and where they actually go. So I know a lot of people would want to keep their donations anonymous and different things like that, but we just want to ensure that there's total transparency and total accountability throughout the board. And this is one of the ways in which we are doing it. It is for the alumni, and it shouldn't be a favor for somebody or any kind of perception that it could be used nefariously for the wrong purposes.
Yeah, and let me chime in there, Joe. Again, Andrew Jeffers, I am hoping to be your treasurer, which, I take the need for transparency and accountability very seriously. Just to give those of you who don't know a bit of background, I wear many hats, but during the day, I am a finance major at Howard University, former Wall Street investment banker, worked on Wall Street for a few years on the investment banking side and on the buy side with the Carlyle Group. In Trinidad now, I am a finance executive at one of the largest entities in Trinidad. And so from a qualification perspective and just an understanding of what real international level transparency, rigor, reporting requirement is something I hope to bring to the table. I think building on what Joe mentioned, finance doesn't always have to be boring, right? Something as simple as having a quarterly 2-minute video of me, an interactive video showing the funds that have come in, where they came in from, how it was spent, etc. That can be not just digested in a meeting, but available for alum who want to check in the next day, and you put it up on the social media page. Just really trying to find a way to communicate more, which builds transparency, and be able to have a forum that allows for questions around receipts of funds, around use of funds. But I think more importantly, and why we feel the committees are so important, could you imagine having a vibrant 100-person or 50 or 75 or 200-person finance committee where it's not one sole decision maker, and everybody in that committee is testing whether we're doing it the right way, challenging each other, kind of being the axe that grinds to sharpen each other. That's what we want. We want it to be that I am not the one making a lot of the financial decisions or the reporting decisions, but that we have a committee of like-minded people, professionals, who will challenge everything in terms of delegations of authority, in terms of your record keeping, and in terms of the reporting function. So I want to give the assurance that we are really focusing on that effort, because we know that the more transparency there is the more that alum, both locally and internationally, would be willing to give funds. It would be so cool if we can tell an alumni or give a report that, your funds went specifically into this. Or if we can have it such that, we leave it open for them if they want to direct their funds into events, into the social works that are being done, etc. Just provide that it should be a real open book, because at the end of the day, we are professionals. This is our, passion project of sorts, and we really just want to be able to be at the highest level of fundraising we can be, to responsibly invest in the lives of the students and invest in the betterment and the growth of the organization and the school.
Thank you, Andre. Mr. Jogi says, what does the future team plan to do to continue the inclusivity of the alumni and not fall back into the same gatekeeping of the past and current executive?
Well, since I spoke a lot about inclusivity tonight, I don't mind speaking about that. And I saw another question there. What are you hoping to achieve in the first 100 days? I must say we have already achieved a lot on social media presence already in a short space of time. So that is definitely one of the main things for us in terms of getting people involved, making them feel part of the team, getting them involved in the subcommittees, asking people where they would like to help. And in that way, we grow the brotherhood and the sisterhood. Jeffa spoke about some of the plans that the events committee has in terms of, virtual stuff. We didn't see that at all in the last 2 years for whatever reason, right? But, our plan is to use COVID to connect with people, just like we're doing here tonight. Have a Zoom call, have a virtual reunion. Our year did it back in December, and we stayed until almost midnight with Mr. Young Simo, dancing away and having some drinks with our colleagues, So a lot of things could be done over the 100-day period and in terms of inclusivity. But one of the main things we would really want to focus on is doing simple things to get people involved and make them feel part again of the association. And as I mentioned, build that brotherhood and sisterhood that we could all feel part of one goal going forward.
Definitely. We have to always remember that we all in this because we sit down in those seats and we walk down those halls, always as brothers. And to see the time pass and people have so much fun memories and passion for the institution, and we cannot come together in a big way. That has to end, that the days of that being a dream has to end. We are supposed to be meeting, we are supposed to be networking, we are supposed to be in fellowship, as they say. You understand? And I know that the one positive that came out of this very grueling road to the election on Sunday is that we saw how many people are interested in being part of the association, and you're seeing it. All right. Mr. Chaiba asks, any music development programs? Well, Chaiba, we'll talk to you about that. And I mean, we have the Master Pepe on the panel here. We will be definitely looking into the arts, because Naparima College has always been a school known for the arts, and it has dwindled a bit, but we will be looking into that. Also saw a very important question here, a very broad but important question. It says, what is the biggest challenge facing the future team if elected? A very interesting question.
Sure, I could probably, I'll take it. I'll maybe speak to two challenges that come top of mind. And I think the first challenge is tied to the First Read initiative. In my mind, a large part of the success of the executive will be based on What is the size of your active membership base? And so I think one of the challenges will be riding the momentum of the newfound interest in the executive that we hope we would have played some part in generating, and really getting to a place where we have, let's say, 10, 15,000 alumni engaged, following the social media page, commenting, sharing, being a part of the committees, etc. That is a strong desire of ours, but it is a challenge because, as you're aware, there is a lot of apathy around the alumni, and it's not so much driven by the fact that they don't want to help or contribute, but perhaps that previously the open lines for that to happen, of communication, of visibility, of PR, etc., weren't there, or maybe the opportunities weren't as formalized. And so I think a challenge would be stimulating what has grown to now be somewhat of an apathetic alumni base. I mean, if you just compare, presentation, alumni base, I think we can all agree that generally the reputation has been, at least over the last 3 years, they have a lot more engaged, vibrant alumni base. And, we, kind of want to aspire to and even supersede that very early on. That will be a challenge because it's a changing of a culture, but it's a challenge that we're up to. I think a second challenge is, and it's important, is that while we want to bring new, fresh ideas, etc., we want to ensure that the relationships between ourselves and the current executive do not become frayed because of the election, or at least those on the current executives who will be going up for re-election. We want to ensure that there is a proper handover and that there is also a level of continuity. And we really do hope that members of the executive, whether they are going up or not, will continue to play a very involved part in the growing of the Alumni Association, because it's not a we do it and they ain't do it. It really is, we think we have some energy we can inject here. We also see and appreciate the work you have done, and we want to be able to build that together. So I would hope, and a challenge we will have, is ensuring that we are still able to tap into the expertise, the relationships, etc., of the current executive. So I think those are two challenges.
Well said, Andre. Well said. So at this point, I don't see we have any more major questions coming in. Maybe we could ask now for the presidential candidate. Sorry, I don't want to say the future president. If I say the future president, it might be a bit cocky. But the president of the future, to give us a little last words before we look to close this session.
No problem. At the end of the day, guys, I think this was a very healthy discussion. I really appreciate those logging in and listening and even commenting, because at the end of the day, this is what being part of an association is about. This is what we want. It is not an autocratic decision-making process. One of the main things we pride ourselves in is team decisions, because no one person has all the answers. There's something that I may miss that other people will pick up. And it's the constructive criticism going forward is what makes or breaks a team. So the passion is here. We love the college. There's nothing that we are attempting to do that will ever bring this school into disrepute. We will ask the hard questions, and I know the hard questions will be asked of us, but at the end of the day, we have the school's best interest at heart. And I hope that by this conversation, by seeing the makeup of our team, the professionals, hearing the teachers, and even past members, that everybody could get a better understanding of what we are doing, what we represent, and what we hope to achieve. But the most important thing is that we cannot achieve this without you, the alumni, and those persons who are part of the NAPS fraternity. We are an extension of you, and this is how we would like to better the school and help the students in the long run. So at the end of the day, I'm grateful and humbled to lead this fantastic team of like-minded and great individuals. But rest assured that we will be coming to you all for advice. We'll be coming to you all for your opinions. And we'll be coming to you all so that we can have a vibrant and well-spoken for alumni so that each child in Naparima College will know that they are represented and represented well, and that the school, we can leave a lasting legacy on the school of Naparima College.
Thank you very much for those last words, Joel. Now, we have some other questions coming in right now, but I assure you, we will get back to you all from the page. We will get back to you all. So look out for the responses in the coming 24 hours. But we know it's getting a bit late. Some people have school tomorrow to teach and so on. I don't think nobody blacking out tomorrow. And with that being said, what is a meeting of the Naps family without the college hymn, right? So, I mean, I don't have my secret sauce right now, but I know Mr. Jeffers, he has his voice still, right? And Iowa George can attest to that. So, Jeffers, as we used to do in the Calypso days, if you just back me up here, right? And I want everybody home to sing it with pride because this is our college hymn. And when we go in that stadium and them drums have to beat how we just sing it, we want that same kind of energy right now.
Just one comment about the college hymn. I remember going to a football game in Larry Gomes Stadium, and we actually lost. But then the supporters started singing the college hymn, and the neutrals in the crowd also stopped. It's like, it was a magical moment where they saw we lost the game, but we sang that hymn with such a vigor that the neutrals in the crowd, they stood at attention also, and they were talking about it among themselves, that they were amazed to see that spirit. So it's a good feeling. Yeah.
One suggestion, and Jonathan, I'll give you the secret to that when you hit me up on Facebook. So one suggestion, Yadav, it might be best, right? It's because everybody have a different latency, right, in their connection. If everybody go to sing it, it will not sound the way it should. So what we should do, we could sing, but mute your microphones. Play the college hymn, so we'll hear the tune and we'll sing because
who have like to hear. We're getting it.
The college hymn? I thought you queued it up already.
No, I singing it to a cappella.
Oh, all right, okay. I don't even singing it live.
I have no time at any latency, sir, and I want to hear in the rocket and the old noise.
All right, not a problem. All right, sure. We going brave, man. We going brave.
I know Jeffers have my back. Here we go. Jeffers, where's the key? Hit me the key there. After three. 2, 3. Make us worthy. Help us ever to be all that we ought to be. And
always proud of thee.
Naparima, to thee the best we owe, with which we may endow our island home. No matter where we roam, if near or far from home, let us be always one. Naparima. So, I think Mr. Goes another point there with latency and thing, but we, we learning the technology, and that is the important thing. All right. I wanted us to get that a cappella spirit, So from all of us here in our segment tonight, our alma mater there, you heard it there, right? We want to wish you all a safe venture up on the hill on Sunday. We will know that how you will make the decision that is best for the alumni, right? At the end of the day, the main thing is that we act in accordance with what is best for the future of the association. And we leave that decision in your hands. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and for all the lovely support, the questions, and even the detractors. A man come and ball prestige and so on. But we give everybody their own voice in this forum. So that being said, a good night to all. And we hope to see every one of you who are registered on the hill on Sunday. Thank you very much and good night.